Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back yet again to the Evan Hears Culture campaign. I have such a special guest on today. He's a guy I haven't spoken to in years.
Yeah, it's been like 5 years.
It's been like 5 years, but I spied on his Spotify, saw that he was a fan of today's band, and so I've asked him to be on the show. It is Seth Simonton. He's a music master. He's a synthesizer maker. He's a modern day marauder. And I'm so excited for him to be on the show. How are you, Seth?
I'm doing good. I don't think I live up to all of that, but whatever.
Oh, you do. You live up to every ounce, every little
oh God
in that intro. So we are talking about a wild doom metal album called Foundations of Burden by Pallbearer. Came out in 2014. And so, Seth, how did you discover this band?
So, I discovered it in the inaugural instance of my annual. Every year, at the end of the year, I will go in and dig up as many lists of best metal albums of that year that I can find. And I just, something I do is I sort my Spotify library by date added. So every year you get like 5 or 6 metal albums and then a bunch of everything else and then a bunch of metal albums.
Would you say metal is like one of your primary sort of?
It depends. Some subgenres like doom metal especially I really, really enjoy.
What exactly constitutes doom metal? Because I'm not familiar with all these really specific subgenres of things.
I like to sort of think of it as take a modern day metal band and then make them forget everything about metal and then just have them listen to Black Sabbath.
Okay, yes. Because that's my one frame of reference for metal. Right. Is Paranoid. It's really the only metal album I've listened to. And I heard this. And I was like, it's very similar. I could detect the influence.
Yeah, doom metal is very much a parallel history of metal. It's like just look at the really early stuff and then ignore everything else, but use all of the modern techniques.
Yes, ignore all that watered down crap and just cut to the real core of what metal is. So you saw it on a list.
Yes.
Death metal albums, and you gave it a listen. What was your immediate reaction to it?
Oh God, I don't remember what the hell I thought of it the first time I listened to it, but I know I enjoyed it because it rapidly fell into my normal rotation of just stuff to listen to when I'm studying, that kind of stuff, that kind of thing.
That's what's so weird about it is I listened to it a couple times for this. It's long, it's 6 tracks, but it's like 55 minutes. And
they're like 4 10-minute songs on that album.
It's repetitive. I would say there's not a lot of variation, and there's not a lot of it's slow, not a lot of up-tempo stuff, but somehow it engages the whole time, and it really is that kind of study.
It just envelops you in sound. It's just this gigantic wall of just
sound.
But it's not in a violent way though. It just sort of surrounds you with this warm tone that it's great.
Those pounding and the drums all sound like mini atom bombs going off and everything is just coming right at you. So so you listened to it, it just went in your heavy rotation.
Oh yeah.
And
it's gone in and out since then, but I've definitely listened to that. It's one of those things where that album is difficult for me to listen to and pay really close attention to because I have listened to it so many times.
Right, that it just becomes background noise.
Right. Yeah, it's I know exactly how the song is going to go. It's interesting.
No, I totally understand that, of things that you listen to so much that at a certain point you can't listen to them anymore.
Right.
Just exhausted it. You killed it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely good. Like it has been a long time since I've listened to it. When I just listened to it the other day, and it's like, oh yeah, I still remember it, and I still really enjoy it.
Yeah, it's very enjoyable. There was another episode of the show where, I don't know if you know Alex G, but my guest on that, the great Tuckerman Wonderly, said he's like, it's like this indie rock dirge,
but it's really like about listening to the full like dirge.
And I was kind of pushing back. I was like, it's not really much of a dirge. Well, dirge is, I believe it's a song sung, in respect to somebody who's died. But I cannot think of a word that better describes this album than a dirge,
Well, there is a subgenre of doom metal called funeral doom. So, like,
it qualifies?
This one, not necessarily. Like, funeral doom, like legit funeral doom is way slower, way darker.
How slow are we talking? Like what?
I haven't listened to a bunch of it, but like slow.
Incredible. Yeah, this is slow, but it's this grand ballad. One thing that I don't know if it really did much for me, the lyrics. The vocals were good, they fit, but it felt just serviceable. It felt like it served the function. I don't know if there was any words that hooked me.
I totally agree. I went and looked up the lyrics to this album after I listened to it the other day, and it's because I'd never done that before, and I realized that I never actually pay any attention to the lyrics on literally any of the songs in this album except for the first one and Ashes. That's it.
Right. Ashes is like the shortest song. It's like 3 minutes.
And it's the like out of left. Okay, so this is another thing that tends to happen on doom metal albums is there is almost always a acoustic or generally like exactly what Ashes is. There's something akin to that on almost every doom metal album. A very, very good instance of this is Evergreen by Windhand. I think I got that right.
it sort of feels like correct me if I'm wrong, it feels like the doom metal equivalent of an interlude.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it just gives you a little bit of a break from just being flattened by all of the riffs.
I mean, that's like, I can't pull out any like specific riffs in my head, so it all in my mind it all sounds like that exact thing, but I don't mind that thing. I don't mind hearing it over and over again. But yeah, the lyrics, because the tracks are so long, I mean, obviously they're not singing for 10 minutes straight. So you'll go in and out of patches of vocals, and and it works when it's there. It works when it's not there. It's just a lot of stuff about. Well, what even is the lyrical content? It's like it's about things falling apart.
It's interesting. I don't necessarily think the lyrics match the music particularly well. Like the music is dark, but it has this hopeful tinge to it, and the album is just like starts fairly okay and.
You're saying sonically, it goes down.
Well, no, sonically, it like I think lyrically it goes just down. Like it just becomes more and more depressing, and then but sonically it has this sort of hopeful tinge to it with the music. Like it isn't just all crushing darkness, but yeah.
But it's a good portion of it.
Well, fair.
Crushing darkness, and there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, definitely, it's the kind of thing that you want to trudge through a wasteland to.
Yeah.
With fiery.
Yeah, and it's just got this like very open and airy sounds to it. Like even though it is just this wall of just enveloping you with sound, it has this very open quality to it, which. Isn't necessarily a common thing in this genre. A lot of there's basically two ways to do it. You either go with the open and airy, spacey stuff, or just like utter obliteration. And this definitely errs on the open and airy side of things.
There's no like, I mean, it's very Black Sabbath heavy, but inspiration, but there's no like Pigs of War. I like Pigs of War, where it's like dum dum bang, bang.
Yeah.
There's none of that.
Right. Yeah, another album that is sort of in the same vein. It actually came out, I believe, at around the same time. Is "Clearing the Path to Ascend" by Yob, and it has a very similar like airy quality to it, and maybe similar lyrical themes. I haven't looked at the lyrics to that one either, but it's definitely, I think I'd describe it as heavier, a little bit less commercially whatever.
Commercially driven.
Right. Because like that's something that I do find interesting about Foundations of Burden is vocally it. There's no like death metal growl or anything like that. No, it's all just.
I mean, as you said, airy.
Yeah.
It's very clean. There's no growl in the voice.
Right. I think I almost get some like Ozzy Osbourne vibes out of the vocals in that they're just a little bit off, but you don't really care.
Yeah. You're a synthesizer guy. You understand that medium. How do you feel about the so I'm bad at detecting instruments, but just looking at the personnel list on Wikipedia, I know there's synthesizers in it. How do you feel about that aspect of the...
I am perfectly fine with anybody using anything in anything, so long as it's used well. I think sonically one of the biggest strengths of that album is it is a cohesive experience. All of the instruments, all of the music sort of wraps together and then just gives you a big hug, basically.
More like a death squeeze,
Oh God, you need to listen to some harder stuff, man. This is nothing.
Just maybe. So what are the, just kind of closing up, if you were to recommend specific songs off this, because sometimes there's only 6.
This is
tough because it really is to get the full effect, you got to listen to the whole thing. You got to listen to the whole thing. It's a time commitment. So if there was like 1 or 2 songs,
I think the first song on the album, which give me a second because I don't.
It's Worlds Apart.
Yes, Worlds Apart. That I think that would be a good choice, and then I would also say Ashes as well, just because it's very different, but also I really like that song.
And it's a bit of an appetizer because it's
right.
Not as long as the other one.
But yeah, outside of that, it's really an album that you have to listen to as an album.
I agree with that. I completely agree. I enjoyed it. I don't know if it's something I'll revisit as often as you did for that period, because it's just, I wouldn't consider it like my genre, but
for sure.
For example, maybe this is the gateway.
So I went through that list the other day, and I have listened to I think like 5 albums on that list.
Listened to 8. I listened to 5. I was like, I don't know any music from the 2010s, which is why I got to do it.
I was honestly impressed with how niche some of their picks were, though. Like,
oh yeah,
I absolutely agree that like Foundations of Burden, for instance, would be on a list of the 200 best albums of the 2010s. But like, who the hell mainstream would say that?
They're big. They're weirdos. So recommend. We definitely recommend. And Seth, I know you lead an interesting life. Do you have anything to plug at all? Anything that
God. Not at the moment, unfortunately. I have been a hermit for like 2 years, so
follow Seth's Spotify. There you go. There's something you could do.
If you want to see some really interesting shit,
take a peek. Seth, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. This has been fun.
Bow, down,